good people? Yes, your girl is back with another video. Yes, before we get started, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Make sure it says all so that when I go live, you will be notified. What's up, Tari? What's going on? Thank you for tapping in with me. How you feeling this evening? I hope everyone is doing well. As for myself, I'm doing great because I woke up this morning. All praises to the Most High. But listen, let's get into something. I titled this trauma. Trauma. And I want to talk about trauma because you know what? A lot of us are dealing with trauma. I think trauma is the number one thing that holds a lot of us back, and it hinders our lives in so many different ways. And so I wanted to tap into it for a few minutes because some people don't want to talk about that. They don't want to touch that. When it comes to trauma, a lot of folks don't want to touch it because some folks don't want to feel that they don't want to feel vulnerable, right? They don't want to feel vulnerable. So, you got quite a few people who will like brush it off or try to act like it don't even exist, right? And I think that's the worstest thing that you can do is to try to act like uh to try to act like trauma don't exist. And a lot of us melanated people deal with trauma, right? Trauma trickles down. Traumas can trickle down from generation to generation to generation. Like generational curses. They real, y'all. They real. Stop putting them on the back burner, acting like they don't exist, right? Because they do. Generational curses, trauma exists. It exists. And we got to stop acting like it don't. And that's what a lot of us do. A lot of us want to brush it off and push it to the back as if it doesn't exist. It does exist. It's a big thing. That's a big thing for melanated people. It's generational curses and trauma. That's a big thing for us, y'all. A very big thing for us. And we got to stop acting like these things don't exist. Let me tell you something. If you talk to people, I don't know if some of y'all talk to people or not, but I do. If you talk to some people, you will find out that trauma, you will find out that trauma is a big thing for people, right? And people that has trauma, that hasn't healed from it yet and hasn't dealt with it, guess what they end up doing? They end up dealing with somebody who's got trauma too. And I guess you would call it trauma bonding because they'll end up dealing with somebody who has trauma too because they haven't healed. And I noticed that some people do that. They want to push this trauma to the back like it don't exist. But guess what happens? It comes out in different areas of your life, like your relationship, friendship, um, the ability to be able to deal with other people, right? I'm telling you what I know. The trauma comes out in different areas of your life. That's why it's so important to deal with it and heal from it so that you can move on. Trauma hinders a lot of people. They don't want to admit it. I got people in my family that's hindered from trauma right now today. And they in their 60s, their 70s. And they still dealing with trauma that they have not healed from. Okay? Trauma hinders you. And some people, you hear some people say, oh, I ain't trying to go to no therapist because I don't need them all in my business, this, that, and the other. But let me tell you something. By you feeling like that and acting like that, guess what? You still dealing with them issues. The therapist ain't dealing with it. You're dealing with it. And that's what happens. People keep making excuses, one excuse after another, for them not dealing with that trauma and healing from it. That's what keep happening. And I'm telling you, it's sad to see yourself at 60 and 70 years old still dealing with trauma. Okay? Terry say one of the greatest life lessons I've learned from Miss Lisa is trauma has no power unless you believe it and live it. Please don't be the power plant. That's right, Terry. And don't get it mixed up with what Terry is saying, right? Trauma is real, okay? But you can get rid of your trauma. You don't have to live it. You don't have to give it power. You can heal from it so that you can be free of it and move on with your life. But the problem that some people do when it comes to trauma is that they give it power. They keep living it. And because you keep doing that, right? You never get rid of it. You never heal from it. Let me put it like that. You never heal from it. You got to get to a point where so you heal from that trauma. I'm telling you. Because like I say, I know people in their 60s and 70s that's still dealing with trauma from when they was young. I mean, young. We talking about going far as back as 15, 16 years old. And they still dealing with the trauma. And they get irritated with others because others have dealt with their traumas and they moving on. You know? But they still stuck in that place. And that's not good. That's not good. That stuff hinders you. It'll mess your whole life up. It'll mess your whole life up if you allow it. If you give it that kind of power. But you don't have to. You can take and go see a therapist or somebody you just feel like you can get the help from that can really help you with it. You can talk to them and start the process of healing from your traumas. See, some of us, we take that trauma and we put it in our back pocket and we think that it's done with, right? It's not done with. You're just ignoring it. But guess what? When you go to get in a relationship with a guy or a girl, you know, what happens is that stuff start creeping back out. You know, y'all hit an issue. Y'all start going through something and that trauma come up. That trauma that you done put in your back pocket, guess what? It comes out. It start creeping out in your relationship little by little, little by little. Like seriously. And that's a big thing for us. Let me tell you something, melanated people. We, as melanated people, we definitely have a lot of trauma. We really do. Let me tell you something. We deal with trauma from slavery. Can you believe that? Can y'all believe that? That we deal with trauma from slavery? Yeah. Yeah. That stuff trickles down through from generation to generation. That's why if you notice, for melanated people, we are so against each other, right? We have a hard time loving one another. We have a hard time just being good to each other, let alone loving each other. We have a hard time being good to one another. That comes from way back from slavery. Those issues trickle down from generation to generation to generation. Generational curses, if you want to call it that. But it does. It's real. It's real. And some of us ignore, we want to ignore it. Just like a lot of us have been SA, okay, in our younger hood, in our younger, teenage years, or some are younger than that. But a lot of people don't want to address it. It's like y'all want to sweep it under the rug. But in the long run, those things hinder you. It keeps you from being able to have sex with your mate and different things like that. I'm telling you, it really do. It'll hinder you from being able to show affection to your mate by you being SA. It creates so many issues. I was looking at a thing today where the guy, I don't know how many of y'all remember him, Nature Boy. Nature Boy got life. That judge gave him life without parole. Yes. From those videos, him making those videos and stuff, and dogging them women out and stuff, he found vulnerable women who were looking to be loved. They were searching for something and they didn't understand what they were searching for. And they fell into the hands of him, and he just misused and abused them. Not just women, but men too. Men too. And they went to court. They finally got him behind bars. They went to court, and the girls was up there. They had wrote letters stating the things that he had done to them, and what problems and issues it has caused for them. Them girls still going through that right now to this day. They still going through all that. And he been in jail for a while. He's just getting sentenced. That judge, and he was in there laughing, and he didn't take anything serious. And she slapped him with that life with no parole. Yeah, she sure did. And she said, since he didn't show no remorse or any of that. A narcissist. Yeah. And then he had the nerve to ask the judge, could he say something? And she said, yeah. And he got up there and told the judge, I no, he was telling the girls, I still love y'all. I forgive y'all. I'm not mad with any of you. I still love y'all. I still love you. Still trying to manipulate them with the sound of his voice. That's what he was doing. And the judge said, okay, enough of that. That's enough of that. I wouldn't have even gave him the opportunity to speak, because I can only imagine what them girls was going through, having to relive that all over again. I can just imagine what they went through, having to relive that all over again. I can only imagine. You know, I know they was going through. I know they was going through something. I know they were. I know they were. Hmm. He did some damage to them. Not just them, but the boys too. And he stood in there. He did a video where he called them ignorant. He said, y'all so ignorant. He said, how many of y'all think y'all could find people on the internet like y'all that'll give me all y'all money and do what I tell y'all to do? You can't. You can't. I mean, he talked trash he talked trash to them girls and them boys. And then he went around and asked each other, how much money you done gave me? One guy said 30,000. Another guy said 70,000. Mm-hmm. I'm like, where the heck they get money like that from? I don't know where they got it from, but that's what they were saying. And he said, how you gonna find somebody that's gonna make you give them your money? That's going how would you find people over the internet at that that's gonna make you come and then give up your money like I did y'all? That's what he said. He said that right in front of them. And they were sitting there looking crazy. You know, they was really, really, really looking crazy. It was so sad. It really was. It was so sad. Cause it was like, wow. How did he do that? This is how vulnerable people are. This is how vulnerable people are, y'all. And it's sad. It is that somebody allowed this guy to get them in a place like that and use and abuse them the way he did. It really is. It's sickening and it's sad. I wouldn't have not, that's just me. But you know what? I'm gonna say this. I'm not even gonna go into the part I started to go into. Let me say this though. Some people end up in places like that because their home is broken. Let me say it like that. Their home is broken. That's why a lot of them end up in cults and stuff like that because they don't feel loved and they searching. They go out there searching because they want to be loved because their homes be broken and they don't feel loved at home. That's why some of them ended up in that situation that they ended up in. I bet you a lot of them probably had issues at home and they didn't feel loved. And then you got some parents that as soon as the child turned 18, they want to push you out in the street. Oh, you grown. It's time for you to go. You got to go. You 18 now. Hey, figure it out. You got to go. How do you do that? How do you push a child out in the street just because they turn 18 and by law, they considered as grown, right? And you push them out in the street knowing that they ain't got it all figured out. They don't have it all figured out. You know that. You know they don't have it all figured out. Now, I could see if you had a child that was living in your house, cussing you out and trying to fight you and stuff like that, right? Then I could see you saying, you got to get it together or you got to go. You see what I'm saying? I could see you saying something like that if a child is in your house and the child fighting you and being disrespectful and cussing you out and and all that. Then I could see you saying, look, I can't do this. You got to go. Figure it out. I done tried to let you stay here. You keep disrespecting me. You got to go. Now I can understand that, right? But to push a child out in the street as soon as they become an adult and you know they ain't got it together and they don't have it figured out, I don't think it's right. I don't think it's right. But that's what some of you do. Some of you push the child out for whatever reason. Some of you do it because of a man. Because the man you with telling you that, oh, he grown or she grown. Why is they still here anyway? They grown. And then you sit up there and listen to that man tell you to push your child out that door, knowing your child not ready. You know she or he ain't ready. They ain't ready. And today times are extra hard than they were years ago. Times are very hard. Times are very hard. And I just don't think it's the answer for a parent to push a child out there in the street knowing they ain't ready. Knowing they ain't ready. That's why they end up in certain situations. Because you know they not ready. But you will push them out there anyway. You grown. You got to figure this out. Long as you ain't in here, you got to figure it out. And then some of y'all ain't taught them how to figure nothing out. But you still want to push them out the street. But you ain't taught them nothing. Please make it make sense. That's what I'm talking about. Them generational curses and that trauma. That trauma. It starts from with mommy and daddy. And then what happens is, not only what they go through they end up pushing it on to their children, but then their children end up going out there getting into different stuff and create even more trauma for themselves. That's why it's important for us to get the help that we need. And melanated people, we are dealing with a lot of trauma. And everybody wants to act like, it's not that serious. That's why we can't love each other. That's why we treat each other like shit. Because we got so much trauma going on. Each one of us got a lot of trauma going on. And we don't do anything about it. And then you wonder why every relationship you get in, they fall apart. You can't have a friendship because that falls apart. And then y'all sit back and you wonder why. And then some of y'all try to act like it's everybody else. But it's not. It's you. It's you. And the trauma and stuff that you got going on. Tari say is the process of letting go of a situation physically, emotionally, financially, and spiritually. When a person doesn't know how to have an emotional funeral, that they will constantly repress the rewind button on your life and live and experience over and over again. That's right. That's right. Because if you don't do anything about it, then it's just going to sit there. And believe it or not, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. Once you heal from it, guess what? You can let that go. Now you can push forward because you have healed from your trauma. And now you feel better. Guess what? You loving yourself again. You can love other people. So things start to look different. And now you see where you can push forward. But a lot of us don't do that. We are busy holding on to trauma and we trying to act like we got it all together. That's what a lot of us do. We try to act like we got it all together. And we don't. And that trauma is kicking you in your ass. Let's be honest. Not just the trauma from maybe your childhood, but guess what? All the trauma that you have experienced after that. That's why I say some of us don't pay attention to it. It gets worse as you go along. Because some of us has had trauma from our younger days, right? When we were younger, teenage, or maybe even younger than that. And we haven't done anything about it. It's still there. We haven't healed from it. And then we go, as we get older, we become an adult. We start having relationships. And the relationships that we end up having be the worst kind. They be the worst kind. You know why? Because that trauma is still there. And what ends up happening is that trauma ends up taking you down the wrong path. It ends up taking you down the wrong path. It really does. It ends up taking you down the wrong path. And a lot of us don't understand that. I don't know if we don't understand it or if we just don't care or if we to a place where as though we just don't want to do nothing about it. I don't know. Or a little bit of all of it. But that's what happens as you hold on to that trauma from your teenage years or your childhood years, right? As you get older and that trauma is still there, guess what? You start going down that path of trauma. Everything you touch, it's got some trauma in it. Domestic violence. SA. You run across somebody else that'll SA you again. The same thing that happened to you in your childhood, right? Now you're 25 and you done met somebody that did it again to you. They supposed to be your boyfriend, but they done SA you again. So you see what I'm saying? You start going down that cycle of nothing but trauma. Just like Tari said, you start over and over and over again. Because you haven't done anything about it. You're not healed. See, when you're not healed, I don't think y'all understand. Some of y'all may understand, some of y'all may not. When you are dealing with trauma and you're not healed, you can't think right. Because your how can I put it? Your brain is cloudy from you thinking about the trauma that has happened to you. Because let's be clear, you haven't healed from it. So it's still on your mind. That's why a lot of times you see people start drinking and drugging. As people get older, have you noticed that some people start drinking and drugging? Because the trauma is still there. Some people have nightmares about their trauma. Some people actually have nightmares about their trauma. They really do. Some people have nightmares because they haven't healed from it. It's still there. And so what happens is by them having nightmares and stuff, it's like they reliving it over and over and over again. You see what I'm saying? It's like they can't shake it off. So what do? They start drinking. Because if they start drinking and they get drunk, what they gonna do? They can pass out and go to sleep. They don't have to worry about that nightmare. Because once they drink enough and they get drunk, they pass right out. They ain't got to worry about it. If you're doing drugs, then you can do enough drugs where you'll gnaw it out. You gnaw it out, what? You ain't got to think about it. Because you done gnawed it out. You done gnawed it out and went to sleep. And that's what happens. That's what happens when you hold on to that trauma. It makes your life worse. You get worse as you go along. Because you haven't healed from it. And every relationship you touch, it's a damaged relationship. Because your trauma is not going to let you pick nothing good. You don't know what good is. And I just got to be honest with you. You don't know what good is because you've been carrying around that trauma. And that trauma got you on a bad path. So anything that you get with is going to have some type of trauma connected to it. Because that's all you know. Hmm. I don't know who needed to hear this, but somebody needed to hear it, and I'm giving it to you. Because we need to do something about this. We need to do something about this trauma. This trauma is hindering us melanated people in so many ways. It needs to be fixed. It needs to be fixed. I don't think y'all realize what kind of damage that trauma do to you. It can ruin your life if you let it. It can ruin your life. I've talked to people that has been SA in their childhood, right? And guess what? Because they didn't get the proper help, they now in their 30s. And guess what? They is just starting to get into it and break them walls down. And they in their 30s. That show you right there that trauma will destroy your life if you let it. If you let it, it will destroy your life. Because what happens, like Tari said, you keep going over and over and over again. You know what I'm saying? Because by you not healing from it, things keep happening over and over and over again. Right? Whatever happened in your younger days, guess what? Because you haven't got the proper help that you need so you can heal from it, you start off with that. And then what happens is you keep repeating, getting into trauma. You add more trauma on top of that trauma. And more trauma, and more trauma, and more trauma. Over and over again, like he said. Because you can't get past it until you heal from it. You have to heal from it, people. And that's the problem. A lot of you don't. And a lot of you sit back and you wonder why, when you get into these relationships, you wonder why they don't work. And you wonder why you keep running into seem like bad people. It's not that you running into bad people, it's that trauma. It's that trauma that you carry around with you, which makes you wanna be with somebody who you think like you. Cause you got that trauma. That trauma is on your mind, it's in your spirit and everything. So when you go out there to meet someone to date, you end up falling into the people that think just like you do. And they got trauma going on too. They got trauma going on too. Y'all trauma bonding. And then you wonder why you can't find nobody good. Baby, you ain't gonna find nobody good because you ain't ready. You're not ready. That trauma is eating your ass up. You're not ready. You wouldn't know good if good smacked you in the face because you're not ready. I always say this, and I know some people may get tired of me saying it, but I'm going to continue to say it because it's true. You cannot love somebody until you learn how to love yourself. And if you don't learn how to love yourself, you're not going to be able to love somebody else. And that's just facts. That's just facts. You cannot love somebody if you can't love you. You got to learn how to love you first before you try to love somebody else. And that's just the truth. A lot of people ain't gonna want to hear it because, like I said before, we living in a time now where people don't want to hear the truth. You know what I'm saying? When you start talking the truth, people get upset with you. They get mad when you start talking truth. We living in a time now where people want you to lie to them. They want you to tell them a lie. They don't want you to tell them the truth. That's the times we living in right now. If I can't tell you the truth, I'm not going to tell you nothing. I'm not going to waste my time telling somebody some information that's not going to help them. I don't get down like that. I do not get down like that. So, if I see that I can't tell you the truth and help you, then I'm not going to tell you nothing. I'm going to leave it alone. But I will not be standing up somewhere trying to tell somebody. I will not tell somebody a lie and blow smoke up their ass, just to try to get them to listen to what I'm saying. No, I'm not. I'm not going to do that. I'm gonna tell you the truth, and if I can't tell you the truth, then I'm not going to tell you nothing. Simple as that. And trauma is definitely something that we all need to tap into, because melanated people, we are affected by trauma some type of way. We are affected by trauma. Maybe it's not physically, but it may be mentally. It might not be mentally, it may be emotionally, like Tari was saying. But we are affected by trauma some kind of way. We are affected because we done been through so much. We are oppressed people. That's enough right there. That's trauma. Being oppressed is trauma. Watching different things happen to our people, that's trauma. That's trauma. We are affected, y'all, by trauma in a whole lot of ways. We really are. Okay, I will. I'll read it. Let me see. Well, I must have missed it. Wait a minute, sorry. Okay, here we go. One of the reasons people can't heal from trauma is they don't know how to have an emotional funeral. I learned about emotional funerals from the YouTube channels named Wellness with Frugal Mama and One Busy Mama. They have a YouTube live stream broadcast called Converse with the Mamas. Check out the episode Learning to Deal with Disappointment and Emotional Funeral. Oh, okay. I read this part. Okay. Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to check that out myself. But yeah, that's a good idea right there. Having a funeral. You know what I'm saying? About your emotions, your traumas and stuff. You do. You need to have a funeral so you can put all that stuff to rest. Once you heal from it, then you need to have that funeral so you can put all that stuff to rest. That means get rid of it. Start a new way of thinking, a new way of life. Because as long as you hold on to that trauma, I'm telling you, it's gonna hold on to you. It ain't going nowhere as long as you hold on to it. It's going to hold on to you. And as you go along in life, it's going to get worse. It's not going to get any better. Because everything you touch or everything you try to connect with, that trauma is going to be in the way. It's going to be in the way. Either mentally, physically, or emotionally, or all three, or spiritually. But if you don't heal from that trauma and you just keep holding on to it, it's going to hold on to you. The choice is yours. You can heal from it, but it takes work. And I think that's the problem with some people. They don't want to put the work in when it comes to trauma. They don't want to put the work in. But then they go on this path with trauma. They holding on to trauma and they going down this path. Then they trying to have relationships. They trying to have kids, different stuff like that. But you haven't healed from your trauma. So what are you doing? You're taking that trauma, right? And you're having babies and stuff. You basically send it on down the line. Because your trauma is going to affect your children in a whole lot of ways. Because you haven't healed from it. So it's going to affect them in a whole lot of ways. 9 times out of 10, by the time you get ready to have the baby father that you was with is going to be gone because of your trauma. And 9 times out of 10, he got trauma too. Because not a lot of times that's how it happened. You end up attracting somebody else with trauma because you have trauma. And that's all you know right now because you haven't healed from it. So when you start down that path, you end up with somebody with trauma. Because that's all you know. You haven't healed from it. And any relationship that you have had, you messed it up. Because 9 times out of 10, the person that you connected with, they had traumas too. So y'all was no good from each other. Y'all was no good for each other at all. But for some reason, and then you sit back and wonder why you connect with these people. It's your trauma, baby. It's your trauma that's making you connect with these people that got trauma. Some of y'all think y'all can take your trauma and put it in your back pocket and leave it there. And y'all think that it's not going to have any effect on you. That's a lie. That's a lie. Stop telling yourself that. Y'all think if y'all ignore it, that eventually it'll just say poof and it'll disappear. That's a lie. Stop telling yourself that lie. You have to do the work and heal from your trauma. You have to do the work. It's just that simple. You have to do the work so that you can heal from your trauma. So stop lying to yourself thinking that you can put it in your back pocket and set on it and eventually it's going to disappear. That is not how it works. And listen, I know. That's why I'm talking about it. I've been there. I've been there. I had to do work. I had to do work so that I could, heal. I had to trust the process and I had to put work in. I stopped having relationships and everything because I wanted to love me. I wanted to be comfortable in my skin. And that's what I did. So I hope that this conversation helped y'all, help some people in some kind of way, whoever run across it. I hope it really help you, because it is trauma is something that melanated people are really, really struggling with. We are struggling with trauma. We really are. We really are. And we need to fix it. We need to fix it. That's why we can't come together. That's why we can't love one another. That's how come we don't want to uplift each other. And you find a lot of people like that. You know why? Because they got trauma too. They got trauma too that they haven't healed from. And that's why, we dealing with this situation. That's why it seemed like, you know, we running across the same thing over and over again. Over and over and over again. Because so many of us are dealing with trauma and we have not healed. And that's why we're in the shape that we're in. That's why it's so hard for us to love one another. I was looking at a situation, right? I'm getting ready to let y'all go. I was looking at a situation on YouTube. And it was so sad, right? It was. It was sad. It was funny, but it was sad too, if that makes sense. Because the situation was all done for clicks and views. It really was. And it's you know what? It's wild to me how the things that people will do for a click and a view. Like I really listen. I never really paid attention to people like that, right? I really haven't. But I ran across this situation and it was mind blowing. They got trauma too, but it was so mind blowing to see what a person would do for a click and a view. It was. That lets you know that people are suffering with trauma. The things that you will do to get a click and a view. You know people are really, really struggling with trauma. And I'm telling you, I can see the young folks doing certain things, trying to get go viral and different things like that. I can see young people trying to do different things. But we talking about older people. We talking about older people trying to do stuff for clicks and views. And you can tell that these people got trauma too. You can tell that these people got trauma going on. You really can. I don't know if they know it or not, but you can tell that these people got trauma going on. And it's sad. It's sad. Like like I was just saying just now, I know people that's in their 60s and 70s, right? And they still dealing with the trauma that happened to them in their younger days. They just starting to try to break some of the walls down. And it's sad. It's sad, y'all. Because listen, y'all know what y'all dealing with. And y'all know that it's affecting y'all some kind of way. But to hold on to something that long, like till you get 60 or 70 years old, and you still holding on to that trauma, you're not, you know what I'm saying? Like, that is a really sad situation. It really is. It's really sad. Because you're not going to tell me that a person can't see or they can't feel what's going on with their self. I know I did. I felt what was going on with me. And you know, and you know what's done happened to you when you were younger. You know what's done happened or what took place in your life. And you know it caused issues. But to hold on to it and not try to do something about it, like, that's sad. You in your 60s and 70s, you just starting to want to talk about therapy. I had been saying something about therapy to these same people years ago, and they brushed me off. They didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to hear it. And right now to this day, some of them are angry with me. You know why? Because I've healed. I've healed. And you can see it. I've grown. I'm growing. And you can see it. And some of them can't take it because they still stuck. They stagnated. And because they are older than me, they feel like it's nothing I can tell them because they are older than me. You know what I'm saying? They stuck in their ways. So they feel like because they are older, it's nothing I can really tell them. You can learn from anybody. Let's start there first. You can learn from anybody because people outgrow others every day. It doesn't matter how old you are. Just like I outgrew some of them that's older than me. But it bothers them. It ain't bothering me. It's bothering them. But you can learn from anybody. It doesn't matter. You can be 100 and learn something from somebody that's 70 or maybe even younger. Age is just a number. You can learn something from anybody. You just got to be teachable. You just got to be teachable. But you can learn something from anybody. And that's how I am. I always want to hear. I want to listen. I want to observe. Because it may be something that I need to learn. But you got some people that's stuck in their ways and they feel like can't nobody tell them nothing. They feel like they know it all. And that's just how some people are. But and I know quite a few people like that. I got a few people like that in my family. They think they know everything because they older. They feel like they know everything. And even when I try to say certain stuff, they try to brush it off or whatever or act like it's not that important. But then they'll come back and be saying the same thing that I said later on. I said, make it make sense. Make it make sense. But you know what I do, y'all? I leave them people where they at. Because what I do know is that some people got to do it when they ready. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes you can't force nobody to do something if they're not ready to do it. Some people are not ready. So when I see that, I leave them where they at. I don't try to force nothing on them. I let them stay right where they at. Or if it's something that I want to say, I'll go ahead and say it and leave it alone. But that's what you have to do for some people, because like I said, some people think they know everything, and some people think because they older than you that you can't tell them nothing. That's how some people think. I'm not one of those people. When my grandchildren talking to me, I listen because they might teach me something I don't know. My grandson, he's 7, but he's smart as a whip. So when he talking, I listen because he may teach me something I don't know. You know, you can learn from anybody. My mother taught me that you can learn from anybody. It doesn't matter how old they are. Because say for instance, let me give you an example. I'm going to let y'all go. Say for instance, I was 10, right? Say I'm 10 years old, and I ended up being out there in the street at the age of 10, right? I ended up in the streets trying to take care of myself and different things like that. But in the process, I met so many people and I got into different things that taught me so much, right? That me, things happening like that for me. I'm just using that for an example. Things happening like that. Say for instance, if I was 10, I ended up in the streets. You know, nobody to take care of me and stuff. Had to fend for myself. But through that process, I learned so much. I learned so much, right? And then when I became an adult, it was a lot of things that I was able to teach other people. You see what I'm saying? I hope y'all understand where I'm coming from. A person could have a total different life than you and be able to, you know, by that person having that type of lifestyle, it made them sharper and smarter, right? And they probably, could take, say for instance, I at that, by me going through what I went through in my life, say I ran across Terry, and Terry was a lot older than me. But when me and him talked, I taught him a lot because of the life that I went through. You see what I'm saying? The scenarios in my life, the scenarios that I had in my life and what I went through. I was able to talk to Tari, even though he's a lot older than me. I was able to talk to him and give him a lot of gems and knowledge and wisdom. You see what I'm saying? Because of what I went through in my life, how my life went. So that's what I'm saying. You can learn from anybody because you don't know what that person done went through. You don't know what walk of life that person done had. You don't know what they done experienced. So anybody can teach you something. You just got to be teachable. And you got to be willing to listen. You got to be willing to listen to the message. That's another problem some people have. They don't want to hear the message. They want to listen to a lot of bull crap that don't mean nothing. That's a big problem for some people. Don't want to hear the message. Don't want to learn something. That's a problem. That's a problem we're dealing with today. A lot of people want to hear a lot of negativity. Negativity is the thing today. To hear some people tell it. I'm still on my positivity note, and I'm going to stay there. I'm going to stay there because I got so much knowledge and, You know what I'm saying? Knowledge and wisdom. And I'm going to stay there. I'm going to stay on that page. I want to say this too. You know, I'm going back to Nature Boy, the guy that they just arrested and gave him all that time for a cult. He was a cult leader. Let me tell you something. I hold a lot of us responsible, and let me tell you why. See, and some of y'all ain't gonna like it. Y'all ain't gonna like what I'm gonna say, but I don't care. I'm gonna tell you the truth. A lot of us supported that bullshit. I never watched them. I kept hearing about it, right, on different people's channels, but I never watched it. I would hear people doing content talking about the things that he was doing and stuff, but I never watched him. You know, it wasn't something that I wanted to watch. But a lot of us gave him what how can I put it? How can I put it? A lot of us gave him a platform. Yeah, I know. Sorry. But I was explaining something. I hope you caught on to what I was saying. Hey brother, I didn't see him coming here. Hey brother. You said, wait a minute, I missed that. Who said drop a link? Drop the link to converse with the mamas. Yeah, you can drop the link if you got it, Charlie. Oh, okay, you put it in there. Okay. I didn't see brother come in here. But listen, um, I missed it. I missed it. I was telling y'all, I was trying to go into that. I blame a lot of us for his stuff that he did because a lot of us gave him a platform. Just by us watching him with the stuff that he was doing, you see what I'm saying? We allowed him to grow and stuff because we gave him, the people who watched him made him have a platform. He made money off of that stuff. He made money and stuff off of that stuff. You see what I'm saying? Because so many people tapped in. So many people tapped in and made that seem so interesting. Everybody tapped into it and made it grow, right? And my thing is, so many people made it grow, but you didn't have him. He didn't get arrested. It took forever for him to get arrested. And I feel like it was because it was melanated women and melanated men that he was taking advantage of. That's why I feel like it took so long for them to get him behind bars. Because let me tell you something. If he had been if he had a group of the YT people, right? They'd have been all over him. They'd have been all over him. If it was YT people, they'd have been all over him. They might have killed him. Stop playing with me. You never know. I'm just saying. All right, so here come. But they tapped into that. They tapped into that and they made it grow. They made him grow. They made him famous like by watching it and tapping into it. Instead of them calling the police or reporting him and telling people what's going on, or you know what I mean, or tapping people, they could have tagged people in his video. They could have tagged the Popo in the video, or the Me Too movement, or something. as many people as was watching it, but it didn't turn out like that. He's just going to jail. All the damage he done, he's just going to jail. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But if it had been, if the shoe had been if it hadn't have been melanated men and women, and it had have been other people, it wouldn't have went down like that. It wouldn't have lasted that long. How much you want to bet? It wouldn't have lasted that long. It wouldn't have lasted that long. They would have cleaned it out. They would have cleaned it out. And check this out. They went to where they was at. The police went to where they was at several times. And they let him go. Yeah. Yeah, brother, what's going on? He said, you right. We thought that mess was funny. Yeah. But he got life. He got sentenced. He got life in prison without parole. Mm-hmm. He sure did. That judge gave him life without parole, and she added on 10 years consecutive or something she said about 10 years. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He messed them girls and them boys' lives up. And he was in there laughing in the courtroom and stuff. He thought it was funny. He thought it was funny what he had done. And so when the judge got ready to sentence him, she said, I thought I was going to see some type of remorse or something from you, but all you did in here was laugh and and acted like it was funny and stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she said, yeah, while he laughed and stuff, she slapped it on him. Did she? Mm-hmm. She sure did. Because I seen somebody talking about it on their channel. And I'm gonna be honest with you. At first I thought they was doing it to get clicks and views. I thought it was a front. That's what I really thought. I thought it was a front that they was doing that just to, get clicks and views. I didn't take it serious at first. And then it started buzzing. It started buzzing. People really started talking about it, about, him doing this and him doing that. They even say he's supposed to be HIV positive. Mm-hmm. And going around making babies and stuff with them girls, knowing that he's infected and stuff. It was crazy. But at first I thought they was doing it to get clicks and views. I didn't think it was you know what I mean? I didn't think it was nothing serious at first. Then every time I looked up, somebody was talking about it on their channel. I said, this must be, you know, this must really be real that's going on. Because everybody, eventually you looked up, every time you turned around, somebody was talking about it. So that's when I started taking it serious. But I never tapped into his channel. And then they was talking about the stuff he was doing to them, and somebody had played a video where he said, yeah, I had just finished making love to my baby's mother, and he started touching my. I'm like, what the heck is y'all looking at? I'm like, what? Who? I couldn't believe. I said, ain't nobody called CPS on him. He talking about yeah, that's what he said. He said, yeah, that's how I get down. I walk around naked, and I just finished making love to her, and he got up there and started playing with my. Talking about that's how he get down. I'm like, what? I couldn't believe. I said, what is wrong with this? What is wrong with him? Yeah, that's when he was telling the women that they couldn't bring nobody else. They couldn't bring, if they had kids, they couldn't bring the kids with them because he was going to walk around naked. That's what I do. I walk around naked in front of my kids because I want them to be proud of their body and all this stuff. I'm like, Lord, take the wheel. I just couldn't believe it. I said, what is going on with this? Yeah, he was proud of that. Talking about, yeah, I had just finished making love to his mother, and he got up there and started playing with my thing. I said, what? Yeah, that judge laid him down though. She said, well, he won't be able to hurt nobody else. I said, I know that's right. She gave him plenty of time. It was something wrong with him because, like you said, in the court, he was in the court acting crazy, just laughing and stuff like it was funny, like everything was going on wasn't even real. I said when he go back to his cell, he ain't gonna think it's funny. It'll kick in that he just got that life with no parole. It'll kick in eventually. But that's how narcs do. He's a narc. They act like don't nothing faze them. That's how they act, like don't nothing faze them. That's how they act. Trauma. That's more trauma. Ain't no telling what he done been through in his life. You know what I'm saying? Trauma. Trauma. That's what trauma do. It makes you act just like he acted. It sure do. Ain't no telling what he done been through. He probably done been SA2 in his lifetime. Trauma. Trauma make you do all kinds of things, especially when you don't get the help that you need to get. Trauma do a lot of things. You gotta get the help. You gotta get the help. And melanated people, we deal with a lot of trauma. Let's be for real. Everything we see it's got trauma connected to it. The fact that we see our own brothers and sisters that get mobbed in the streets by the police and stuff. You know what I'm saying? We see all kinds of different things. That's trauma. That's trauma. That's trauma. And we really need to, we need to start taking that serious. A lot of people don't want to take trauma serious, but we need to because it affects our life, our whole life in so many ways. I'm telling you, the best thing I ever did was went and got therapy and stuff, and seen a psychiatrist. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. It was the best thing I could ever do. For real. Because it made me feel so much better. And after a while, I was able to love myself again. You know, I started being comfortable in my own skin. It just changed so many things in my life. It really did. And that's what we gotta start doing. We gotta start taking trauma more serious. Because we deal with a lot of it on a day-to-day basis. We really do. And like I said, some of us that's been dealing with trauma since our childhood, and we haven't taken the proper steps to start the healing process. It's a process. It really is. And you have to start it. You have to start the healing process. But some people think ain't nothing wrong with them, you know? But if you sit back and you think about things, think about your life, just look at your whole life, right? And say, for instance, you somebody that you can't seem to keep your relationship together. You can't seem to stay with somebody in a relationship. Every time you get with somebody, it ends up being a bunch of chaos and confusion. A lot of times that's your trauma. That's your trauma. That's your trauma. And the person that you connect with ends up being trauma, dealing with traumas too. And you got to start being honest with yourself. That's something people don't want to do either. They don't want to be honest with themselves about, about their own shit. They don't. Everybody want to walk around like everything is all right. Like ain't nothing wrong with them. I see a lot of people like that. That want to walk around and act like ain't nothing wrong with them. I got people like that in my own family. They act like ain't nothing wrong with them. And they jacked up. For real. But they walk around like ain't nothing wrong. On some days, they good to go. But on some days, you see it. You see, you know what I'm saying? That come out. All that trauma come out. But they don't want to claim it. And they don't want to do nothing about it. Because they done got up in age and they set in their ways. So they don't want to claim it. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times they isolate. Yeah. A lot of times some of them isolate because they don't want people to see that side of them. So if they isolate, they can let you see them on the days they want you to see them on. You see what I'm saying? They can allow people to see them on the days when they having good days. And on the days they not, they can isolate. Mm-hmm. Yep. See, I got family members that try to act like wasn't nothing wrong. You know, they try to act like they wasn't that there wasn't nothing wrong with them. And when I was going through what I was going through, I was the talk. Okay. It was all the talk was about me. Come to find out, they was doing just as much as I was. The only difference was I accepted my flaws. You see what I'm saying? I accepted my stuff. I wasn't doing stuff and trying to hide it. I accepted what was going on with me. And when it got out of hand, when I felt like it was out of hand, I went to my mom and said, hey, look, I need some help I need some help. Things is just getting out of hand here. I can't deal with this. I need help. I gotta find me some help. You know? Yeah. I was able to go to my mother and tell her that. I felt like I owed my mother that much. than for me to just, you know, for me to just start doing stuff and letting her find out on her own. I felt like I owed her that because my mother held me down. She helped me out with my children and stuff. Yes, she did. And I felt like I owed her that, to go to her and let her know that I need some kind of help. It's just taking a toll on me. This is taking over me. And that's what I did. But certain people in my family, I became the talk for them. And then later on, I find out that they was doing some of what I was doing. Except for they was hiding it. You know what I mean? They was hiding that shit. I ain't hide mine. I let mine out. I knew I needed help. Hmm. Yeah, but then it was then people came and lied in my face and told me I never talked about you. I told people my sister was going to get her stuff together one day, and that was a damn lie. But I just said whatever. You know how sometimes when you start getting your life together, at some point, some things you just gotta let it go. You just gotta let it go. You know, like the anger and all that. You just gotta forgive and go on with your life. Because a lot of times you can hurt people more by just forgiving them and going on with your life. You know, you bother people more when you healing. You done went through your process and you done healed, right? And you done went to them and say, look, whatever it is, I forgive you. If I did something, I apologize. You know, but I don't want no more parts of this. You know what I'm saying? I don't want no more of this, no parts of it. It's negative, and I don't want to be a part of it no more. You hurt people more with that because they feel like they better than you because they older than you. But when you go to them and let them know, whatever I did, or whatever you feel, you feel as though I did, I apologize. But I don't want no more parts of this. It's negative, and I don't want to be a part of it no more. Simple as that. And you just let it go. And I be nice to them and everything. Anything I could do, I do it. But I have let that go. And it bothers them. Now it seems like everybody trying to get on board, right? Everybody trying to get on board, and it seems like everybody trying to do the right thing. To each his own. To each his own. But you hurt people more when you do that to them. When you be like, I forgive you. You know you ain't did nothing, but whatever you say I did, I apologize. You know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to be a part of this. You hurt people more a lot of times when you just do that. Just give in to that. Because they know you ain't did nothing. They know it. They know what they done did too. And when you just give in and say, I apologize. Whatever you think I did, I apologize. You know? It makes them feel some type of way. Trust and believe that. It really do. Because they know what they done did. They know what they done said. But it also lets them know that you have grown. You see what I'm saying? You have grown. You have healed. It lets them know that in a lot of ways. When you throw your hands up and say, I'm done. I don't want no parts of this. I love you. Anything that you think I did, I apologize. Please forgive me. And you move on. That lets them know right there that you done healed and that you are growing. You're trying to be better. And trust me, they feel some kind of way. Trust and believe that. They might not let you know it, but they definitely be feeling some kind of way. They really do. And all of them, like I said, they all, I don't know if it's real or not. Hey, listen, I ain't judging nobody, but I don't know if it's real or not. But I know they had been trying to get me. They had created a prayer line, okay, and they was trying to get me on the prayer line. And for a while, I didn't go on there. I didn't go on there. So one night I went on there. And it was funny how couldn't nobody else get on the prayer line. All of a sudden I pop up, couldn't nobody else figure out how to get on that line, right? Now, this is something they put together, not me. They put this line together, okay? But come to find out, when I get on there, first they was on there, everybody was on there, then all of a sudden 2 people fell off and I didn't understand what was going on, okay? I still don't understand what went on. I said, well, maybe that was a sign telling me I shouldn't have been on there in the first place. I don't know. You know, some things just ain't for you. Some things is just not for you. It's just simple as that. And so that's how I look at some stuff, you know. Some things just not for me. Just because they family doesn't mean that they for you. It don't mean that they for you. Just because they family. You know? And I'm the black sheep. I'm the black sheep of the family, you know? And I think it just comes from where I'm an open book, right? I don't do no hiding. I ain't out there hiding mob and all that. I ain't saying I gotta walk around with a sign on my back, but I ain't out there hiding mob. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? That's just how I am. It is what it is when it come to me. I'ma speak what it is with me, you know? I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, I'm not gonna hide it. And I think that's the problem. I'm open and I'm honest when it come to me, right? I can talk about me. I have got myself to a place where as though I can talk about me, right? I don't have to talk about somebody else. I can talk about Lisa. And I'm okay with that. And I can be open and honest, right? Everybody can't do that. And sometimes it affects people when you can and they can't. It bothers them. It really do. It bothers them. Because I used to try to figure out why some people didn't, for whatever the reason, I used to try to figure out why some people shied away from me. I was like, I don't understand that. I used to try to understand that. And then one day I was sitting and thinking, and it just came to me. Some people cannot accept you when you are real, open, and honest about your shit. And that's facts. That's facts. Some people do not know how to deal with you when you are open and honest about your shit. They don't. They don't. I've noticed that. They don't want to deal with you. And that's because when you talk to them, you don't have a problem with talking about you. Okay? You talk about you and what's going on with you. And you don't have a problem with it. But when it comes to them, they don't want to hear that. They would rather hear you talking about somebody else. But they don't know how to deal with it when you can talk about you and be open and honest about your shit. I noticed that. I noticed that about so many people. I really did. I've noticed that about so many people, you know? And I just keep being me. And one thing I've noticed, if I keep being me, as long as I'm being me and being honest about me, it gets better. It just gets better. I feel better, you know? It takes a lot of energy when you think about it. It takes a lot of energy to be hiding and trying to cover up and, you know, always, here you go. Ain't nobody got know my business. It ain't nobody business. You know, people famous for that. It ain't nobody business. No, it don't have to be everybody's business. You're right. But is it that it ain't nobody's business? Or is it that you can't talk about it because it's something dealing with you? Which is it? Because a lot of times people don't want to talk about it because it's it's something that's dealing with them that they don't want people to know. I'm a firm believer like this. And I don't know how many of y'all feel like this, but I'm like this. I can talk about me, right? What you choose to do with it, that's your business. That's your business. But I'm living in my truth. And that's how I look at it. You see what I'm saying? Because once I put it out there, how you gonna take it and flip it and rub it down and make it what you want it to be, right? Once I put it out there, that's my story. And that's what I'm sticking with because that's my story, right? You can't do shit with it but repeat it once I put it out there. What can you do with it? Like, be honest. What can a motherfucker do with your shit once you tell it? What can a person do with your story once you tell it? Nothing. What? Repeat it. All they can do is repeat it. Because if your story is already out, if you done already told your story, a person can try to lie about it and tell it, but eventually somebody gonna go get it, right? Because you trying to lie about it, somebody going to get your story because you already told it. You see what I'm saying? And so that's why I tell it. If you want to know something, that I'll tell you. If I want you to know, I'll tell you. If I don't want you to know, I'm gonna tell you, mind your business. Simple as that. But a lot of people just, I always say, learn to talk about you and your shit first. Stop talking about everybody else. Learn to talk about you and your shit. That's the best thing a person can do. When you're trying to learn how to love you and be comfortable in your skin, the best damn thing that you can do is to learn how to talk about you and your shit. Not everybody else. Talk about you, and be open and honest about you. See what I'm saying? I'm telling you, I did that When I started talking, being able to talk, it was hard at first. It was hard at first. And I wasn't the type of person that talk about everybody else. I was never that type. I was never that type of person. But it was just hard with me trying to talk about me, right? But once I started to talking about me, I felt good. Yeah, it was hard at first, but I started feeling better. And I started being comfortable in my skin. And I started to love me. And I started to accept me for who I was. That's what learning to talk about me did for me. See, when you can keep on talking about other people and talking about other people and talking about other people, that's, to me, that's deflecting. That's deflecting. Because you don't want to talk about you and your shit. You don't want nobody to know about you and your shit. So you're going to keep somebody else's name in your mouth because you want to keep deflecting. And then the minute people start saying, somebody start looking you up or trying to find out what's going on with you, now you pissed off. You pissed off, you going to come out cussing everybody out and everything. Because you don't want nobody to know nothing about you. But it's okay for you to sit somewhere and talk about other people. You see what I'm saying? That don't make sense. You gonna sit and talk about others, but you ain't gonna talk about you. And then when motherfuckers start digging and prying, trying to see what's going on with you that you don't want nobody to know, then you're mad. That's what tripped me out. Shit. I began to love myself again. I began to be comfortable in my skin and everything. When I was able to talk about me, like reading a book, like an open book. It really, really made me feel better about myself. And guess what else it did? I don't give a flying flute what somebody else think about me. I really don't. At the end of the day, I don't give a damn about what you think about me. That's what it did when I started learning to talk about me. It really did. It helped me in so many ways. But what I noticed is that the times that we living in now, people are on some negative stuff. You hear me? Negativity is the best thing. The days we living in now. Good is bad, and bad is good. Those are this is the way, you know what I mean? This is how it's happening. This is what's going on. I was looking at the thing. I'm gonna let y'all go. I was looking at the thing where I don't know if y'all seen it, where the migrants they found these migrants in a basement in a what you call it, in a basement, the guy owned a furniture store, and he had put all these migrants in his basement, in the basement of his store. Did y'all see that? He had put all them people in the basement of his store. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think that is causing a lot of problems by so many migrants coming over here. They say Trump is trying to get melanated people votes. That's what I heard. That he's working on trying to get melanated people votes. I don't know how true that is, but I know some people said they voting for him this time. I know a lot of melanated people that said they're gonna vote, they're gonna give Trump a chance this time because the Democrat ain't been doing nothing for the melanated people. And that's true. That's true. As long as they've been voting for them people ain't did nothing for us. I just couldn't understand why people kept voting for them when they never did anything for us. I just didn't understand that. I really didn't. I'm getting ready to go, y'all. I didn't really stand on here for no hour. But what the stuff I said was what I hope people listen to it, because the stuff that I said tonight really, 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 really made sense in a lot of ways. You know? And a lot of us need to listen to it, because that's the problem. That's why we can't come together. Y'all, believe it or not, and I'm gonna leave y'all with this. That's one reason why we cannot come together, because too many of us have traumas that we need to heal from. And that's why we can't come together and have some unity. That's what's stopping us, y'all, because some of us are still oppressed. Some of us are still dealing with all different types of traumas. You know what I'm saying? And until we heal, until we start to heal and stuff, and go through the process and heal from it, we're gonna have a hard time coming together, because trauma make you not trust people. Trauma make you look at people in a bad way. Seriously, it really do. Trauma, you have a hard time trusting. You have a hard time believing in anybody. And then on one hand, it makes it hard for you to believe in anybody. And then on the other hand, it makes you vulnerable, where you be just trying to connect with something. It makes you go all different types of ways. Trauma do, because your trauma is there and it's making you act up in so many ways. But in the same breath, you want somebody to accept you. You want somebody to love you. So, like I said, it makes you vulnerable in some ways, and then in some ways, it makes you not want to trust anybody. You see what I'm saying? And that's why my family, my melanated people, that's why we have such a problem coming together and loving one another. Just trying to love each other. Because we are so messed up with trauma. Being oppressed is another trauma. And until we fix those things, we're going to have a hard time embracing one another with love. We got to get back to that. We got to get back to loving each other, y'all. And we only can do it if we deal with our trauma first. If each one of us started to deal with our traumas, you will find that you will be able to embrace your melanated brother and your melanated sister with love. We need that. I love each and every one of y'all. Please don't forget to repent so you can save your soul. But not only that, please don't forget to address your trauma so that we can love each other once again. Lord's willing, I'll holler at y'all on my next live. Love you, Ty. Love you, brother. I see y'all on the next one, Lord's willing. Peace.